my problem with the college football playoffs right now is that they put out the three formulas. The three formulas being resume, conference champions, and the eye test.
Yeah.
And it has become evident that 80% of it is eye test.
Yep.
They never gave they never specified which one outweighs another. Obviously, the eye test means more. Right now, their eye test on Alabama is they didn't watch the game. They just looked at the score. But their eye test is what Alabama has done in the past and not this season. Minnesota, okay, Baylor. Those two teams alone right now, and I know they are not better than Alabama. That's not my point in saying this. But if you're going to go based off of those three things in the team in resume right now, you've got to put them higher right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a slap in the face of being like, well, you know, at the end of the day, this is what Alabama's done the past few years, so we know they're going to be one of the best teams.
It's like, why does anyone else play?
Right, exactly. And why do we keep it at 4 then?
Yep.
If they're automatically going to be in there, they don't have to play anybody, right? Their out of conference schedule is trash.
Yeah.
If their one game that they have to play up for is LSU, and they lose that, but they still have a chance, and they can sit out the conference championship and have an extra weeks of rest, and they're still going to be in, then why is it a 4-team playoff?
I don't want to go to 8.
Well, you're automatically having one of those teams in there.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
I think 6 could work. I don't like 8. I think it's
gonna
too
get
much.
there.
One of the reasons that this, and look, I know Bama's still sitting right there barely on the outside looking in, really on the inside. That game meant so much more, and every college football game means so much more because of what's on the line, at least for the top teams. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to be like, okay, well, this doesn't matter. Maybe we don't want to go to the SEC championship game, which, speaking of, I think LSU should just be able to like recuse themselves, take the SEC championship game, and let Bama and Georgia go fight it out for a playoff spot.
Is if they're automatically going to get a bid based off of what they did in the past, why can't we get a bid of what we've done so far this season?
Yeah.
If we beat Bama, who they are thinking is the top team no matter what happens, right? They're on the cusp, a brink of a playoff at birth, then why does LSU have to go through this gauntlet and play an SEC championship? Right? It doesn't make sense. The system is flawed.
No, there's no incentive to go schedule one of those big out-of-conference games that the committee said they would take into consideration. I mean, you look at Ohio State. They played Cincinnati. They're still in there. But 2 years in a row, they swapped with OU, and the loser was out, and Alabama just cruises right on in.
If all remains the same, and Oregon wins out and wins the Pac-12 championship, and their only loss is at a neutral site to Auburn on a fluke Hail Mary at the end of the game, and they get left out for a non-conference champion Alabama.
Why would you ever schedule an SEC team?
I think
what's the point?
They have to get in. I think they get in at that point.
I do
think
too.
The
I
whole
think
system
it's
implodes.
I think it's the end of the system if they don't get in.
Yeah, if Oregon gets left out with their only loss being Auburn, yes, the system's flawed if that happens.
Right.
I'm so torn because all they're going to say is, and I think you're right, I think they do weight conference championships a little bit.
Everyone else wins.
But that was their 3 things. That's what they talked about.
Yeah.
So that's basically saying we're full of shit.
Well, Alabama didn't win their division, but we know that Saban's going to have their guys.
4 best teams. You can't include, at the end of the day, 4 best teams rules the 3 formula, right? If the 3 ingredients for your formula are those things, why even include this? Well, at the end of the day, though, it's the 4 best teams.
Yeah.
What is it?
I agree. Can we take a step back and how nice is it to have LSU just sitting there in the top?
Here's the thing: if we lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, there's some talks that are going to have to happen.
ESPN people, not that they're the end all be all, but they all were saying LSU's still in. And I was like, well, that's nice to hear.
Because we have the Heisman Trophy winner, and our one loss is in the conference championship. You can't leave that team out. That's one of the 4 best teams.
Honestly, I feel like if we lose, it almost prevents Bama from getting in more.
It does, but
because that puts Georgia in.
Right. What happens though is that's the only scenario I think where you can sit back and be like, well, it is one of the 4 best teams. I think that's where it comes into play. Yeah. Is if your only loss is that final week on an extra week in the championship game for your conference.
In a pretty much home game
and
for
a
Georgia.
home game for Georgia, and you have the Heisman Trophy winner, that's a 4 best team scenario, not Bama's loss.
I agree.
Right.
Look, I mean, I agree. So LSU, Ohio State, 1 and 2, Clemson 3. Everyone knows the thing. So out of the Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and Oregon, who do you want to play, or who do you least want to play? Alabama, I would say.
Alabama because it's a rematch, not because I think they're better than some of those teams.
I love all the fans be like, yeah, you know, they know what, they keep talking trash, but they don't want this again. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. Would you want to play us again? If
I don't think I would
something?
sleep that week.
It's
terrible.
Listen, it's the worst scenario for LSU fans because we've been through this before. Yeah. They ripped our heart out in 2012, and we had to wait until this year. We've had to wait this long for it to be removed. And now all of a sudden it's going to happen again. It's not fair. It's a worst case scenario. That's why I don't want it to happen. Not because I'm not confident we'd have a good game plan. Yeah. It's just the odds are so much in Alabama's favor for a rematch.
Yeah. And look, man, it gave me real bad flashbacks when after we finish recording and we're doing everything, I go into the living room, flip on Oklahoma, Iowa State. And I was like, is Iowa State? Yeah. Like it just brought back, right. I know it was Oklahoma State, obviously.
Oklahoma needs to step their shit up.
I agree. I'm shocked at the disrespect of the top
Huge
team in the Big 12 is at 10, and the undefeated team's at 13.
Here's another thing, though, dude. You gotta,
it's insane. I'm not even saying it's wrong, but it's just insane.
It is wrong.
And then these
it is wrong. This is wrong because there's no. What's the point of them playing? Yeah, if the point is to win championships and you don't have an opportunity as an undefeated team to even be close,
because only 4 of them get a shot.
I'm big on Baylor because look, I bet Baylor -2.5 and their team total over 28.5. They kicked a field goal to go into overtime at 9-9 with TCU. Not only did they cover the game, they got to the 29 points. It was incredible. Matt Rule, you have a place in my table.
If Oklahoma has a big win this week over Baylor, and then they have to beat them again in the championship game, you can make an argument for them to be in the playoffs.
I completely agree.
They're in the same boat as almost as Oregon at that point.
If you have if Oklahoma wins out and Oregon wins out, there's no shot Bama backdoors.
I understand you can look at wins, but I think Oklahoma's loss is better than Georgia's loss. I think losing to K-State's better than losing to South Carolina. I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah.
I understand wins come into play.
Now,
no. Yeah, but that's assuming if LSU beats Georgia at that point.
Yeah.
10. Oklahoma 10. They were like number 3.
There's so many flaws, and they're just teasing with Penn State, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think, look, man, I was wrong as wrong could be. Row the boat. I love Fleck.
What do you do there if Minnesota pulls off the upset, which is not going to happen? Ohio State's too good of a team.
Yeah.
But what do you do there?
Everyone gets bumped up, and Ohio State
out.
Goes to
they're out.
Does Ohio State get out, though?
I think they're out more than LSU's out of.
I think they keep them over Oregon. I think Bama is ahead of them, but I think they keep.
If Oregon wins out, you think Ohio State gets in as the second Big Ten school?
I hope Minnesota does because I would love to play those dudes the first round. Remember when Connor Cook and Michigan State played Bama, and you're like, oh, maybe they can. Oh wait, no, they can't.
Right.
That's kind of how that feels.
To answer your question though, of who I don't want to play. I think it is in order there. I think Ohio State is definitely the most dangerous team. I think they have a really good defense, and their offense is run by a talented quarterback. And I think Ryan Day, as a head coach, does not get enough credit from what he's done with this.
Yep.
It could have flopped. It could have fallen after Urban left. Ryan Day has only accelerated this program. I do show some respect towards them. I think Clemson is the most underrated team.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as good as they've been in the past, but they are still absolutely a dangerous team that I don't really care to play unless we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I think it's in order.
I agree. Look, man, I'm pretty positive LSU's better than all these teams on here, except when I look at Ohio State. I think that could be an incredible game.
Do we have a dog here?
Dog wants to come in the studio right now.
Uh-oh.
What is that?
That's the neighbors.
Okay.
They're just drifting into the driveway?
It's Virginia's dog.
All right. Meet Virginia.
Meet Virginia is at the door. Anyway, they're not on the pod. You're on a rant.
Look, and I think Clemson, I completely agree with you. And I was kind of the anti-Clemson, saying they look like Florida State of a few years ago and some of these hangover teams. They have a guy who's going to go #1 in the draft. They have one of the top 3 running backs in college football. They have a couple of the top 10 wide receivers. I mean, this Clemson team is stacked. Dabo didn't do this by smoke and mirrors. I mean, he's created and gotten one of the best teams in the country for the last couple of years. I guess I would rather play them. I'd rather play them just because we've played Alabama. I think I would be more confident.
To
I don't know, man.
To
I was
play
pretty
which
confident.
one?
Clemson. I think
I would
they're
rather
just
play
dangerous.
Clemson than Ohio State.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think Georgia's that good.
I think
sorry.
Clemson's literally the second best team to us in the
I don't
country.
look. Georgia's the most dangerous team we have left before the playoffs. Obviously,
Ole Miss.
we'll talk about that in a second. I think Georgia is playing better than they've played all season. They are starting to hit a stride. That is a very good team with a very good defense. Are they going to stop LSU? No, but it's a championship game with the only game on the line for them to make the playoffs. So it's going to be a big battle. Now, out of that group, though, no, I think Clemson and Ohio State are both better than them. I would rather play Georgia than any of them, and we're gonna have to. So
I have no idea what her name is. The girl on ESPN that does like the playoff stuff, she's like the expert, whatever. She posted a tweet a couple days ago that was like, "Hey guys, look out for Auburn. They could be a 2-loss team." And the internet went nuts. And I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, I kind of agree. They'd have big wins. They would have taken down Alabama and Georgia in 2 of the 3 weeks to end the season. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't, but it's an interesting thing to look at. I also look at, like, what would happen if Clemson would have lost to UNC?
Yeah.
Are they at 6 right now? Are they at 12? Like, where does that lie? Obviously, it's an unanswerable question.
They're like
who knows? Yeah, I think it'd be like 10. I think because they were starting to get disrespect before that game. Like, people were like, yeah, maybe they're not playing well. Then after UNC.
Dude, if Auburn pulls that off.
It'd be wild.
I don't think, listen, I think what's going to happen, I think Georgia's going to get the best of Auburn on Saturday. But what happens is, I think Auburn's going to play Alabama super close. I think Auburn's offense is going to score points on that Alabama defense.
Not positive on that. Can you click on Auburn? I don't know, where is that game?
Alabama's look. This is not a great Alabama team. This defense has flaws.
Auburn, I think.
But
it is in Auburn. But I think it's going to be closer than they. Alabama's going to win. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but
they're both home.
yeah, I knew the Georgia game was at home.
Wow.
What's that?
They play Georgia at home this week, at home against Houston State, I would assume that is, and then at home against Bama.
I think if Alabama, close win, okay, if Auburn puts up a big fight, I think that helps us not have Alabama back in the playoffs.
I agree.
A shitty, quote unquote, a 3-loss Auburn team that almost beats Alabama does not backdoor in, right?
What's the more likely scenario? Auburn wins those 2 games, potentially gets in. That's not in there. They win both the games, they split, or they lose both, and Gus gets fired.
Oh, more likely?
Yes.
I think they split.
Okay. So you think they're going to beat Georgia? Or I
think they could beat Bama.
I don't see it.
No, I think they definitely. This is an Iron Bowl, man.
I get it.
That shit happens all the time.
I get it, but man, after watching Bo Nix, it's just hard to.
There's been so many years I've watched Auburn and been like, man, this team sucks. Then all of a sudden they're pulling shit off against Bama. It's a different game when they play Bama.
They also had Cam Newton and had to like have a 21-point.
They beat him like twice since then.
Yeah, on a kick 6 on a 60-yard field goal attempt. Look, man,
that's the point of what
I hate
saying.
Alabama. I hope they lose to everybody.
If Tua is hurt and crippled and Bo Nix improves, I mean, there's shit that can happen.
There was already some like what's his name, Mac Jones. They're like, oh yeah, they're kind of splitting reps. They're both looking good. I'm like, Saban, you dirty dog.
Oh, I don't think Tua's playing a lot this week.
No, I don't think he will.
No, but against Auburn,
he might not be able to move. Who knows?
Yeah, well, dude, if it's anything like was after that game, I mean...
Does Auburn not have a solid defense?
Yes,
Are we discrediting their defense?
They absolutely do, and I think their defensive line could be. I just look at that game, and I'm just like, Alabama's going to hit at least a couple of these balls to Judy and Smith and Waddle and all these guys. I'm just not sure Bo Nix can keep up. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I don't think Bo Nix needs to keep up. I think their running game is going to move the ball on Bama.
Well, I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I don't see what a lot of people are seeing in Bama's defense this season. I think there's holes everywhere.
Well, they got a lot of true freshmen, Mike. I loved all the Twitter comments. It's been so good. There's
anyway,
someone that got on the YouTube video and was like, yeah, what about this? What about this?
Yeah, they could have Dylan Moses out there, but he broke his leg.
Thoughts and prayers.
Sucks, man.
T's and P's.
We'll see what happens. I don't see Bama backdooring back in. I think there's a lot of reasons why we can say they won't. But they are knocking on the door there. I don't think you would have put Oregon and Utah back-to-back right there unless they planned on having one of those teams, the winner, move into that spot. I think they're kind of toying with us. I think it's like, listen, we respect Bama there, but it's set up for a Pac-12 champion to move in.
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're just saying, Alabama is better, but no championships have been won yet. So they lost to the second or the #1 ranked team in the country. We can't drop them that far. But I think the conference championships, assuming everyone stays unbeaten through that,
right?
I think they're going to have to make that. They can't implode this whole thing.
It sucks we're so close to conference championships.
Let's talk about Junior Plumlee and this Ole Miss team that we're on the road at Ole Miss. I think it's a night game. Is it 7 p.m. kick?
6. You're on Eastern time. I get it.
Time change.
It's like 10 p.m. at 4 nowadays.
Yeah, it's brutal. We're the old people complaining about this shit now.
We talked about it before we lit up the mics here. It's horrible. This time change is absolutely horrible.
Can't stand it.
I get home, it's pitch black out, and it just kind of forces you to stay up. You're like, screw that. I'm staying up tonight. You have to watch
more TV with it being so dark.
You're like, I kind of feel like I live in Alaska. We're just kind of starting the day.
Yeah, no, I can't live in a world where I get home from work and 2 hours later I go to bed just to go to work the next morning. Like, I'm sorry. I fight the sleep. I watch Netflix, do whatever.
Weekend warrior.
Xbox, yeah. Normally on Fridays I sleep like 20 hours to catch up on everything, and then Saturday it's all day grind to the Hawaii game closes at 2:30, and then we wake up hopefully for a London game in the NFL, and here we go.
I'm at the age now where I'm like thinking in the middle of the week, like I'm going to dinner Friday night. Like I am going to dinner Friday night, and then I'm going to watch some college football on my ass all day Saturday, and then I'm going to dread the work week all day Sunday.
And then I'm going to waiter some food in on Sunday.
I'm going to waiter, and then I'm going to sit around Sunday with anxiety about my week.
Oh, the Sunday scaries. There's nothing like it in the history of the world.
Let's get into Ole Miss.
I talked about it a little bit. Do I think that Ole Miss is anywhere near as good of a team as LSU? No. But this spot is just so gross. At night, at Ole Miss, a team that all they want to do is win this game. I think they have to. I think they potentially have to win this game to get bowl eligible. I don't quote me on that.
I'm quoting that shit.
They're 4 and 6. They have to win.
So they have to win 2 of the next 3.
The only thing I like about Ole Miss right now is that they went back to the old uniforms.
Yeah.
I think they look awesome.
Look, I think they figured some stuff out. They're a pretty good team at running the ball. I think Plumlee is better for that offense than Matt Corral. LSU, like I said, LSU's more talented, better athletes, blah, 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 go down the line.